Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. It has been so long since I have sat down and filmed a YouTube video. Hopefully in this video, you guys are gonna understand why I've been kind of MIA on YouTube. I've still been super consistent in keeping up with Instagram because it's just easier for me, but my life has been a little bit upside down, and it has been for about a year, and I haven't really shared it. So I'm going to share it now, kind of get into it because it's a long story. I got married 3 years ago. Well, it will be 3 years in October, and I really wanted to start a family right away. It was like my number one thing. I just wanted to have kids. Especially where I grew up, it's just sort of what you do. You get married, you have kids, and it's just kind of like the way that things go. So I really thought that that was going to be my situation. Tried for like a few months. I was kind of like doing those, calculators where it tells you when you're fertile. I would pee on these ovulation sticks. It would tell me, okay, you're ovulating, go have sex basically. And we did that for a while, and it was just, we weren't getting pregnant. It can take up to a year, I think, for most couples to successfully get pregnant. So it hadn't been a full year, but in the past I have been pregnant. When I was, I believe 22, I got pregnant on the pill, on birth control pill, and I had an abortion. So I had gone to go see my gynecologist, and I was like, we've been trying to get pregnant. It's not happening that quickly. It's so weird. I got pregnant in the past on the pill. I really thought it would be something that happened so fast. And she said, you know what, give it a few more months, and then if you don't get pregnant, go get everything checked out. So I would say that this was in 2016, like September. We got everything checked out. Everything seemed fine. Really didn't know what the issue was, so we kind of had to go through some different tests. I started doing some, adaptogens and maca and all these things to try to make things work better maybe, but it seemed as though everything was okay. We weren't really sure what the issue was. In that time, I really thought that I was gonna get married and just get pregnant. Like, I really thought that that's how it worked. We kind of then decided, you know what, Chris was launching Black Suede. We said, you know what, maybe it's just not the right time. Let's give it a year. Let's kind of just chill, and if it happens, it happens. If it doesn't, it doesn't. But let's not be so calculated about it. I spent my entire life trying not to get pregnant, being on birth control and avoiding it. And all of a sudden, now that I wanted it, it was just not happening. So when we decided, let's give it sort of a break, I didn't really know what to do with myself. I had Love You Always, which was my clothing business, for like 6 years. When I kind of first met Chris and we started getting serious, we closed the business, and then I started doing my consignment sales. And that was something that was like a job to do in the in-between kind of Love You Always. And then I figured, I'm gonna have a family, so I'll figure out my career after I have a family. Like, why would I go invest in a business? Or I'm not someone that was ever gonna go get like a 9-to-5 job. I knew that it was something I was gonna do my own business. So I was like, why am I gonna go invest in a business or start doing a business when I'm probably just gonna have children? I found myself in a place where Chris was starting Black Suede. I was kind of like doing this consignment business. It was making me money, but I just was so unhappy and felt like, oh my God, like, I'm so stupid. Like, why didn't I do something sooner? Who am I to think that I was just gonna get pregnant like this and that was gonna be my life? And that's what gave me the push to actually start sharing my health and my beauty and my lifestyle tips on Instagram, because I didn't know what else to do. I was like, I didn't know what to do. I really didn't know. I was in that position where it was like, I didn't know what business I wanted to start. I didn't know where my life was going. I felt very, not depressed, but just like I said, I didn't know where things were going. So it gave me the courage to start sharing my life on Instagram. If you guys have not seen, you can go watch my Who the Hell is KGMTL, and I sort of talk about why I started sharing my life and all of that stuff. But that was the real reason. I never shared that. The real reason was the fact that I really thought that I was gonna have a baby or be pregnant, and I wasn't right away. I knew it wasn't gonna happen right away. Chris wanted to focus on business. He was traveling a lot. When you're trying to get pregnant, you have like a few days in a month where you can kind of possibly conceive, and it was like becoming exhausting to like either schedule his trips around it or for me to go like on the trips all the time. And so we just were like, it's too much right now. We have just gotten married. It was taking a toll on the relationship. So we kind of decided to take the step back. And I was like, I need to do something with my life. Started sharing it on Instagram, and thank God, like what people don't realize, and part of the reason why I take, you know, it so seriously, and why like when people hate on me, or people I know have said things negative about me or have made fun of me or whatever it is, I don't like take it so well, or I've defended myself quite quickly, is because you don't know what other people are going through. Like, to so many people, people will think, oh, this is a girl who just wants attention. This is a girl who just, you know, wants people to look at her pictures and think she's pretty or whatever it is. But really, that's so not what it was. For me, this was my saving grace. Like, honest truth, I feel like I would have gotten, I don't want to say divorced, but I was in a very unhappy place because I had no, like, I felt like I had no purpose in life. And then all of a sudden, when I started doing Instagram, it gave me that purpose, and my life got so much better, and I had become so much healthier, and all these things that I wanted to share with people. And that was like the added bonus, that it was helping other people as well. But initial reason for starting it that I've never shared before is the fact that I needed something. I needed a hobby. I needed a passion. And so this wasn't about making money for me or getting compliments or becoming popular on the internet. This was about having a passion and something to do with my time, because I didn't know what to do and I didn't know where my life was about. I'm doing this with no ring light, so I hope that the lighting is gonna end up being okay. So about a year later, we still weren't pregnant. So then we decided, okay, let's try again for a little bit. We did, nothing happened. So we decided to go back and go start seeking out for help with fertility. Again, like everyone always says, what the issue is. We didn't really know what the issue is. Sometimes there is no issue. Like, I'm perfectly fertile. I have all my follicles every month. I have my everything that works properly, but it just wasn't working with us together. I went and starting last November, so November of 2017, I did my first insemination, which is called an IUI, an intrauterine insemination. And I didn't need any hormones because I was ovulating every month. I was producing a good follicle every month. Just for anyone who's wondering what an insemination is when they take the sperm, they wash it, so it's like super sperm basically, and it's like super potent, and they just take a catheter and they put it inside of you, and they kind of like a gynecological exam, you just like lie there, they put it in you, and they monitor when everything's about to ovulate and work. And yeah, so the chances of getting pregnant with that, going back, like now that I'm this far after it, are pretty low, but it does happen for some people, and we thought it could be a really good option for us because, like I said, we didn't really have any issues to speak of, and so we thought maybe it would work. Those of you who watch me and are young and have no idea about all this stuff, you don't need to watch this video. You're too young to worry about this stuff, but I'm putting this video out because I want to help other people who are going through this, because when I was going through this, I felt so alone. I've just been feeling so alone. You feel like, I'll get into that more, but you feel like you can't talk about it with anyone. No one, you feel like it's a big secret. You feel like you're doing something wrong. You feel ashamed, and like, I don't feel that way anymore. I feel like I want to share my story. I feel like I've been lying in a sense, because I wake up for the past year every day, and what do you think the first thing on my mind is either like, am I doing an insemination? Am I getting a blood test? Am I doing an ultrasound? What hormones am I gonna be taking? Like, all of these things. And I get up and I'm like, hey guys, and I talk about everything but this, and this is a huge part of my life, and I just feel like it's time to share it. November 2017, I did my first insemination. After I did it, I was so excited. I was like, I just thought it was gonna work right away. I like didn't go to the gym. I was just walking. Like, I thought it's gonna happen right away. And then I got my period. I got my period the night before I was supposed to go in for my blood test, and I was like devastated. Like, I was so upset. Then I went again the next month, did another insemination, and then what happened that month? That month also got my period, the morning of. So the morning that I was supposed to go for my blood test, got my period. So it was like, I couldn't even go in for the blood test, my period would just come. And then on my third insemination, I really thought I was pregnant. Like, if someone would have told me you're not, I was like, you're crazy. I know my body. I've been pregnant in the past, and I had the similar symptoms. My boobs were hurting, felt like I had to pee. And then on like what day was it? And then on like one of the days, I think it was like day 10 after my insemination or 12, I had what they call implantation bleeding. So it's like pregnant, this is it, whatever. A day or two later, I ended up getting my period, and I got it early, which never happens for me. So in my mind, it means that like I did implant, and then the embryo didn't end up being a good mix. And so my body rejected it because I never, ever, ever get an early period. Fourth round, I decided to do it with hormones. So on that round, I had done, what do they call them now? Good thing that I can't remember, because that means that the memories are fading. Subcutaneous injection. So I did estrogen hormones every single day for about, I think, a week or 8 days. And then with that, I would be monitored. And at that month, I had 3 follicles. So the follicles hold the eggs. So they're like, you might have triplets, just warning you. And I was like, okay, like I'd be happy with 1. So then we did the insemination. Then after the insemination, I took progesterone. Progesterone helps everything sort of like stay up and stick and whatever. And, but with progesterone also, you don't get your period. So, I didn't get my period. I went for the blood test. I was really hopeful. I didn't feel any symptoms. And I wasn't pregnant. It was negative. So then I was getting really discouraged. I was like, oh my God, I've done 4 inseminations. I can't believe I'm not pregnant. It was exhausting, because between the time of like getting the insemination to finding out if I was pregnant or not, I would like stop spinning. I would stop doing my bulletproof. That's when I started doing bulletproof mat checks. I didn't want to drink coffee, even though like it doesn't really make a difference. I was like adjusting everything in my life. I wasn't doing adaptogens, and I was faking it. Like I was faking it for Instagram. I was like, oh, I'm still doing this, I'm still doing that. Oh, I'm going to the gym, but I wasn't. So at that point, then I had gone to New York for a business trip, or with Chris for a business trip. And I went to go see a doctor in New York who basically was like, you're absolutely fine. Go get your tubes flushed. So when you get your tubes flushed, your fallopian tubes, they do that because sometimes your tubes can have a blockage or something sort of blocking them, and it can stop you from getting pregnant. So it's one of the reasons that people don't get pregnant. So I went and got my tubes flushed, which was a very scary experience, because I had been doing everything very much independently. A lot of times Chris was out of town. He came to most of my inseminations, but sometimes he didn't. He didn't come to all the appointments because it's exhausting. You're literally there all the time. You're always in a waiting room. You're always waiting. He had to work. Like, to me, I was kind of like, it's fine, I can handle it. Went for my HSG, which is the tube flushing. I was in the hospital. I did it alone. It was the scariest room. And I was like, oh my God, I can't believe I'm here alone. Chris was in New York. My mother had offered to come. My sister had offered to come. I said, no, I'm fine. I really thought it wasn't going to be a big deal. That is the day that I realized that I needed support. I realized, stop being so tough. You're going through a lot. This has been a crazy, sorry, it's like makes me upset. This has been a crazy journey. You need to accept what's happening, because I was very like, I'm fertile, everything's fine. And it wasn't fine. I had been going through so much and acting like I hadn't, and I was just going about life, and that's who I am. Like, I would get bad news, like I would get the news, okay, you're not pregnant, and I would just be like, okay, I'm not pregnant, I'm gonna go spinning, I'm gonna do all my workout classes, I'm gonna get right back into my routine, and that would kind of like help me. But I had to deal with it. Like you have to, if you're going through fertility and you're going through these things, we want to be tough and we want to act like it's not happening. We want to act like it's all okay. But I think part of being successful in it is not being okay and understanding that you're not okay and talking about it and accepting what's happening in your body and what's happening emotionally to you, because it's a lot. I was in New York for a business trip with Chris. I ended up going to see this doctor, like the doctor to the stars. And he was like, he did like the full thing on me. And he's like, you're fully okay. He's like, I want you to go get your tubes flushed. I got my tubes flushed. It was really scary. It made me realize I needed Chris to be more involved. I started going to therapy because I was like, I need to speak about this. I was going through a lot of different emotions. I was like, am I not supposed to be with Chris? Is this why it's not working? Like, why isn't this working? Why is God doing this to me? Like, I felt very like, not bad for myself, but I was just sort of getting like, what the fuck is going on? Why isn't this working? After I did my tube flushing, I decided I'm gonna do another insemination. I was really hopeful. I didn't do any hormones that time because he told me, you don't need hormones. Everything works properly. Like, you're doing hormones, you're doing too much to the body. Just do it naturally. So So after I did my tube flushing, I did my insemination. And by the way, before insemination, you always do something called a trigger shot. So it like guarantees that you ovulate. So that's the only hormone that I would do. But it was taking a toll on my body. Like, yeah, I was still in good shape and I still looked good, but I definitely didn't feel like the way that I felt the summer before, like tight and like, you know, in super great shape, because every few weeks I had stopped training. I'd stopped all my stuff. I was always doing a bit of a hormone. My body was going through so much emotionally and stress. And I was just trying to act like everything was fine. So, and that's very hard, by the way. It's very hard to go around and talk to people you know and your friends and just pretend that everything's fine when it's not. Like, you're going through a shitload of shit and it's all that's on your mind, but you don't talk about it. And that takes a big toll on you. So anyone who's going through this stuff, I know it seems like you don't want to talk about it, and I've been there, but like, talk about it. Because the minute you talk about it, you're free. You're no longer in hiding. That's why I'm doing this video. You no longer feel like you're hiding. You don't feel that feeling of being alone anymore. You can share your story with people and if people judge you, that's not your friend. Like that, there's nothing to judge. It's not your fault. It's just, the shit happens, you know? So anyway, so I did my 5th insemination. And when I did my 5th insemination, I was just sort of like, I don't know, I had kind of given up, and I was like, fuck it, like, it's either gonna happen or it's not. I continued going spinning, I traveled, I went to New York. I remember I had drinks, because like every other time in between I wouldn't drink and I would be really careful. And what happened, and then I wasn't pregnant. I ended up going for a blood, did I go for a blood test? I got my period, I think. I don't remember if I got my period or got a blood test. I don't even remember anymore, but I ended up being it was that I was not pregnant, and I was like, I can't do this anymore. Like, I cannot continue to do these inseminations every month. It was another insemination. You don't realize like how much you're in the hospital. So you have to go in to make sure that your follicle is ready. If it's not, you have to go back for another appointment. So it's constantly being in the clinic. Like, you're constantly there. I would be doing my morning segment and being like, oh, I'm going to the gym really early, or oh, I'm going this, and I would be going to the clinic, and you see people you know, or you see people that would I would see people that I think would recognize me, or maybe they didn't recognize me from Instagram, and I was like super in my head about it, and I was like, I can't fucking do this anymore. I'm ready to do IVF. I felt like I'd done enough inseminations now. I want to go do IVF. So my doctor agreed. She said, yeah, I think you're better off doing IVF. Your chances are a lot higher. And so in April of 2018, we decided we're gonna do IVF. So now enters a whole another story. So IVF is a whole other beast. IVF stands for in vitro fertilization. Basically what you're doing is you're taking the egg out of the woman's body, the sperm out of the man's body, you're connecting them in a lab, and you're watching them grow, and then you re-implant it as an embryo into the woman. So basically, to prep to get your eggs out, to do an egg retrieval and egg collection, you do hormones. So I did a shitload of hormones, injectable hormones. And by the way, all the time that I was doing this, I was still filming my normal life on Instagram and acting like everything was normal, and I would go and I would inject. And most people, I think, get their husbands to do it. I did it myself. Like, I did all of the injections myself, because it's like when you brush your hair, it like hurts more when someone else does it. I felt like it would hurt more if someone else did it. Again, I'm a very independent person, wanted to do it all myself, did the injectables myself. I had my follicles were ready, and then you have to also take other shots to block your ovulation. It's very unnatural. It was very, very hard for me to get to the point where I was giving myself hormones, because as you guys know, I'm super natural. I love putting only natural things in my body, but I want a baby, and this was the only way I felt like it's gonna happen. So basically I did all the hormones. I ended up doing my egg retrieval in May 2018. I remember that day, like, I'll never forget that day, because they give you fentanyl, which kind of like numbs the pain. It didn't work on me. So I felt every little thing. I was also overstimulated, probably because I'm young and fertile. So I was overstimulated, meaning that I actually wasn't gonna, usually with IVF, you get an egg retrieval, and then like 5 or 6 days later, you go back and you get the transfer where they put the embryo inside of you. I wasn't able to do that because I was overstimulated. So I already knew that I was doing my egg retrieval, and then I had like 6 weeks I had to get 2 periods in order to do the transfer. My egg retrieval, it was, I don't want to scare anyone because I think everyone has a different sort of experience, but for me, it was horrible. I felt everything. I was so bloated, like I can't even explain to you like how bloated I was. If you guys don't know anything about this, it's sort of like, sounds like I'm talking Chinese. I didn't used to know anything about it, now I know everything. So you can have a day 5 embryo, it means that it blastocysts, so it like starts producing cells, and this is like a viable like baby. So they call you, so they'll call you like on the first day, okay, 10 of them fertilized, okay, like the next day, okay, 9 are still alive. I had to wait, so I had 6 weeks, and honestly I needed the break. So I got a period pretty quickly after I stopped, pretty quickly after my egg retrieval, and then I had to get another period. All of this started in like April. That's why I haven't traveled. I haven't been able to go anywhere because I've had to be at the clinic or being monitored every week or every 2 weeks, seeing what's going on or being on hormones. So that is why I have not left Montreal. I kept saying all summer, oh, everyone's like, why aren't you traveling? Why aren't you traveling? It's like, I couldn't travel, I couldn't go anywhere or really do anything. It's been very, very difficult for me because in these moments, you really just need a release, you really just need a break. And I really wasn't able to give myself that. I really respect anyone that goes through this stuff because it's so hard. I think I'm gonna actually stop there for today. I'm gonna do probably a 3-part like video thing because this is a really long story. I was just in the middle of filming the video on YouTube, and my memory card ran out of space, and I was literally in the process of saying that I'm going to stop for the day because my story is a really long and sort of drawn out one. I'm not pregnant. See, my belly, it's not there. I don't want anyone to get excited and think this is a pregnancy announcement. It's not. I'm going to be doing this probably in 3 parts. So this will be the first part. There'll be a 2nd part video and a 3rd part video because my journey has been extremely long and quite torturous. This is the first part of my fertility journey and my road to getting pregnant. And I just wanted to share it with all of you because it's time. Like, it is time for me to share this. There is more to come, so you'll have to stay tuned for the next video to see sort of what happened. For anybody who's watching this video that's going through anything with fertility, talk about it. Leave a comment below if this is something that's affected you. You can DM me on Instagram if you want to keep it private. I am just feeling kind of nervous to share this, but also really excited. So that's it, guys. Thank you for tuning in. If you, it feels weird to say this on this video, but if you like this video, give it a thumbs up. And there's nothing that's going to be in the description of this video, but I love you guys. Thank you for watching.